So we're back for another video to talk about the Premier League champions Liverpool, and that still sounds really great, doesn't it? I hope you've been spending the days since the title was clinched against Tottenham soaking up every moment and celebrating this success with family and friends. But of course the mad thing about it is that Liverpool wrapped it up incredibly early, and so there are still 4 games of this season remaining, and of course that means that there are 4 games for the manager to pick a team, to select his tactics, and most importantly I suppose to prepare for next season when Liverpool will be defending this Premier League title. So I wanted to take a look at a few of the big issues coming into these games that are left to be resolved really, and important calls I guess for the manager to make. And I guess the starting point really in terms of one of the big aims I think over the remaining 4 games is the points tally that Liverpool are going to end up on, because of course they're on 82 at the moment and there are still 12 left to play for. And I think the first thing to say is that it feels important for this Liverpool team to break the 90-point barrier. I mean, for all the attempts to kind of do down this achievement, weak league or Manchester City and Arsenal have fallen off, I think nobody could really argue with the quality of this team and the achievement behind it. And I'm talking about wider people rather than obviously Liverpool supporters who know how good this team is. But I think nobody in the kind of wider football sphere could argue with it really if this team does break the 90-point barrier. I mean, at the moment they're on 2.41 points per game, and so if they continue at that rate by getting 3 wins and a draw over the remaining games, that would put them on 92 points. Now that's enough to win the Premier League in all but 6 of the last 30 seasons since it moved to a 38-game season. So just shows you very few teams have managed to get 92 or more, and if they win all of the games that would put them on 94 points, which again would win it in 26 of those 30 seasons, so all but 4 of those seasons. Again, that would be a remarkable tally. And I guess the big question around this one is really obviously the level of motivation's not going to quite be there or the same it was in the preceding games, because Liverpool know they've got it wrapped up and they're playing against sides who've got things to play for. You think about Chelsea at the weekend, obviously they are battling and desperate to get in the top 4. You think Arsenal will come to Anfield and absolutely want to salvage some pride in the title race, and other games they're important for different reasons. So there is that aspect of it. But as I say, I think and I hope Liverpool's motivation is that they can break that kind of 90-point barrier, that they can get to 92 to 94, because I think it would say everything about the quality of this team if they were to do that, and it would put them in the right historical context really. Because for me, I think as the season's gone on, we've seen that this is a 90-plus point team, and the only thing that can stop them is really having it wrapped up so early so that they take the foot off the gas a little bit. So I really would hope and that they can get over the line in terms of that, because as I say, I think it would stop some of the chatter about just how good this team is, and really kind of remind everyone that this is a very, very good side that's been put together. Now, in terms of other talking points, another one I want to see resolved over this coming game, really, I want to see some more fringe players involved in these games. Now, we know that Arne Slot's not really been one for rotation this season, has he? It's not been a strength, but he hasn't needed to, because he's done so well in terms of keeping players fit, but it hasn't been something he's leaned on an awful lot. But I think there's a chance, isn't there, in these remaining 4 games to just mix things up a little bit, to reward some players, to just change things up and maybe test some things out going into next season in terms of who can I rely on a little bit more than I have this time around. And of course there's no risk involved, because there's no chance of harming Liverpool's chances of winning the title, because that is already done. And I think about a couple of players when I talk about this really in terms of who you'd want to be involved. I think one of them definitely is Harvey Elliott. Of course, he's been on the fringe, he's been a bit frustrated this season. It hasn't been a season where he started an awful lot of games, but I think there's no denying the quality he has got, and he's still such a young player as well. I mean, this is one that's probably worth a deeper dive, his individual situation, in a video of its own that I'll do, I imagine, when the season comes to a close, because I think he's a really quality player, but I would love to see a little bit more of him. And it's interesting, some quotes coming out today, an exclusive from Paul Gorst at the Liverpool Echo, great exclusive by the way from Gorsty, and Harvey's been speaking about his future, and the quote is, "If I had it my way, that would be here. I would play each and every game here and stay here for the rest of my career. But it all depends on managers, the people above, and as I said, you don't know what could happen. But as far as I'm aware, I'm here to stay, and this is the club I want to be at. So he is desperate to be here. It looks like he's going to at least be here for next season as well, judging by his attitude in those quotes, which I think is great news. But can he push for further involvement? And I guess a really good starting point to give himself the platform, the springboard into next season is if he does get a chance in any of these games, grasp it with both hands and make sure your performance is of the level that can convince the manager. So hopefully that can happen. As I say, I'll do a deeper dive on Harvey and how good he is in the coming weeks, but I really would like to see him over the coming games. And of course, he's not the only Fringe player who I'd like to see a little bit more of. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of Jarell Quansah in these games, maybe. Obviously, Konate and Van Dijk have been fit all the way through the season, haven't they? And that's made, and particularly in Konate's case, that's unusual, and so made for a little bit of a frustrating season for Quansah, particularly after he had a kind of breakthrough campaign last time out. But he's been, I think, very good when he's come in. He's been a big part of the squad. He's played an important role, and of course he has done in training as much as well, and he's even dug in and helped out at right back at times, hasn't he? And again, it's something you want to see rewarded. Can you give him a start in one of the games over the four that are left, just to reward him and show him there are more opportunities coming? Again, he's another one, I think, a very high quality young player who's got real potential. Hopefully he's not too frustrated by how this season's played out. And again, if you can get him in the team, that would be, I think a bonus really, if you can get him in the team in the coming games, just to reward him and keep his chin up after a difficult season. And of course, there are even more as well. Joe Gomez is one I would love to see between now and the end of the season, because I expect that he will probably leave this summer. He came very close to doing so last time out, and again, injuries have wrecked the latter part of his season. But if he is to go, what a servant he's been for Liverpool. I think the longest serving player who's left at the club, in fact. And so if he does depart this summer, you'd love to see him on the pitch one more time for Liverpool after the brilliant service he's given and the trophies he's won, of course, and a couple of other candidates to leave as well who we'd like to see, I'm sure. Wataru Endo is one of them. His future is very much in doubt coming into this summer. Could he decide to move on to go and play more football? I would say that is the likely outcome. And again, he's a fan favourite. Love to see him in the team a couple more times if possible. And one more is Federico Chiesa, who hasn't had a huge impact in his time at Anfield, but everyone I speak to behind the scenes at Liverpool talks about his attitude is immaculate, his attitude to his work rate in training, always keeping his head up, and you can see him around the squad in public as well, the way he's cheering every goal, he's really invested in every success. And how easy would it have been for him to come to Liverpool? He was so enthusiastic when he got here, but over the months that have occurred since, it would be so easy to be beaten down by that, to start sulking a little bit, to not really be yourself and not throw everything into it. But I think Chiesa's absolutely kept his head up. He's tried his best, and in some moments we've seen his quality as well. I think about the goal at Wembley and his performance when he came off the bench as well there. So clearly it's not worked out for him at Liverpool. It doesn't seem like the manager fancies him or is going to use him in the long term. But of course, if that is the case and he is going to leave this summer, can he get a little bit of a farewell performance? Can he get a few more minutes? Because it's been incredibly frustrating for him how little time he's had on the pitch. So I would like to see a little bit more of him if possible, even if it's not one that you think about for the future. Now, moving on from those Fringe players, another thing that we've seen a little bit more of recently is some threat from set pieces from Liverpool. Now, it hasn't been a great season for them overall in that regard, and they've spent most of the season really in the lower reaches of the table when you order it by set piece goals scored. But it's seen a little bit of an uptick recently, and it is now 7 in the Premier League this season. They've scored from set pieces. Now, that's not too bad. It's 14th best in the division, joint with Manchester City, who used to be a little bit more of a threat from them themselves as well. But it's way behind Arsenal on 14, who are in second place, and the front runners for this season are Crystal Palace, scoring 15 set piece goals. So it's interesting, Liverpool performed poorly generally, but the reason I want to talk about this is the fact that 3 of those 7 have come in the last 3 Premier League games. You'll think Van Dijk scoring against West Ham, Trent Alexander-Arnold against Leicester, and then of course Cody Gakpo against Tottenham. And that is interesting in one regard, because Arne Slot was recently asked about set pieces, and he spoke about the fact that, to be honest, he said it's kind of low down the priority list when you come in for your debut season in the club. And he said normally you start with bringing the ball out from the back, how to defend, then the end of that process in terms of developing the team, he means, is set pieces. I think Arsenal is a great example of that, where Mikel has worked so long, and they're so good in all different phases of the game, and now they've become world class in set pieces. So Arne Slot's spoken about the fact that really kind of Liverpool, the hope is that for them is that this set piece improvement that they've shown recently is because they've been able to spend more time working on it. And again, you want to see them keep that going, because you want to see them take it into next season. And if they start as they have finished this season in terms of scoring set pieces, then again, next time around, maybe they'll be closer to Palace and Arsenal and maybe score a few goals. And that's kind of important really, because they're almost like free goals in games, set pieces. You don't have to put together intricate play, you don't have to unpick a defensive block, all the difficult things. You don't need quality in your finishing necessarily. Sometimes it's just kind of get your head on it and get a flick on it. So as I say, they sometimes feel like free goals. So I think the challenge for Liverpool in these coming games, keep that set piece improvement coming. Keep showing that. Alexis McAllister has taken a lot more of those, and I think that's coincided with a real improvement. So again, but the routines seemingly, judging by what Slot is saying, are also improving as well. And if they do, over the next 4 games, get a couple more, and it suddenly becomes kind of, you've got 5 or 6 or 7 set-piece goals in the last few games of the season, you do start to wonder, will they actually go back into the market for that set-piece coach, which they were advertising for last summer? I would suggest that maybe they won't need to do that if they keep showing improvement in that regard, but we will see how they go in terms of that. Now, another point I want to talk about as well is a bit more of an individual one, actually, because I know it's all about collective glory, isn't it? Everybody wanted just to see Liverpool win a major trophy this season, and they've done that in winning the Premier League title. But once that's out the way now, I think we can have a little bit of a focus on some kind of individual glory. And the individual I am talking about, of course, is Mohamed Salah and that Premier League assists record. Now, he has got 18 assists in the Premier League so far this season, so absolutely remarkable numbers. But of course, the record is 20, and that is jointly owned by Kevin De Bruyne and Thierry Henry. So he needs 2 more to equal that in the 4 games that are to come, and 3 more to take the record outright. And I have to say, I would absolutely love to see Mohamed Salah do that. I think he deserves some sort of reward outside of possibly the Ballon d'Or, by the way, but we'll see in terms of that, for what has been an insane season really on a personal level. His goal scoring numbers, his assist numbers, he's just out on his own in terms of the quality he's shown. And so for me, what has been basically a historic individual season deserves an individual honour like that. And to get so close to breaking the record, he's kind of, the assists have dried up recently. I'd love to see him have a little flurry towards the end of the season and just clinch it, because he is a true Premier League great. And so to get a record like that, he's a deserving player for it, isn't it? Because he's definitely got that standing where he should be holding some individual records. I mean, he's already up to 5th on the goal scorers list of all time, by the way, which is pretty remarkable. But I would love to see him get this. And I've seen a couple of chances in recent games he's set up for teammates not being finished off. I'm thinking about Jota's header against Leicester late on. There was a ball he put in against Tottenham as well, didn't get finished off. I want his teammates to get their shooting boots on and try and get Mo Salah this record, because as I say, I really do think that he deserves it. Now, a final point I want to make about these 4 games as well, which is for me probably the most important thing of all. I want to see the fans enjoying every second of it. I want to see Anfield singing "Bring on the Champions." I want to see that sea of red for every game that's remaining. I want to see the away ends going down to Chelsea and going down to Brighton and showing off and saying that, heralding the Premier League champions and as I say, making the most of it. And I know this will go on into next season, but it's a reset then, isn't it? And after a certain point, you start to focus on that title race. So, they're in a privileged position, I think, supporters who get to go to these games, and supporters all around the world, actually, in terms of having 4 games in which to celebrate this special team team. So I want to hear that at Anfield. I want to hear and see pictures from around the world of supporters making the most of it, because how often does it happen that your team wins a Premier League title the first time in front of fans in 35 years, and then you get 4 games to really kind of bask in it and enjoy it? So that's what I want to see from supporters. So I'm going to wrap it up there anyway. Do let me know what you think about these talking points. Which one of these is most important to you? What do you, have I missed anything? Is there anything you want to see over these remaining 4 games? Do let me know in the comments. And I'm going to leave it there by saying, if you can like the video, that is massively appreciated. Subscriber numbers have gone absolutely crackers since Liverpool won the league, so we smashed beyond that 30,000 mark. Thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. I really massively appreciate that. Can't believe the numbers at the moment, but hopefully more to come, because obviously there's transfer coverage to come in the summer. There's 4 more games that I'm seemingly skipping over there by talking about, and of course much more to come about Liverpool in the coming weeks. I'll see you guys very soon.